Hey guys, welcome back to Steel City Sports. Today we're going to be taking a look at my Week 6 predictions. Last week was, I think, my worst week of predictions since I've been doing this for about 2 years. We had all kinds of crazy upsets, the Jags beating the Chiefs, the Eagles getting upset by the Broncos. We had some crazy comebacks, the Cardinals blowing that game to the Titans, the Panthers coming back on the Dolphins. So all kinds of craziness went on last week, which led me to, like I said, my worst week record ever since I've been doing these picks. I was 5-9 last week. That's how bad I was. So I'm looking to bounce back in a massive way this week, desperately needed after how big of a disaster last week was. So let's get into my predictions for Week 6, starting off with tonight's game, Thursday Night Football, the Eagles and the Giants. This just kind of continues Amazon Prime, not really getting that great of games on Thursday Night Football. I don't get why, but this is just another, at least it appears, not great game. I mean, the Eagles are over a touchdown favorite in this game. Now, I do admit the Eagles, they're a little rocky right now, coming off a loss to Denver in a game, they probably should have won. They only gave Saquon Barkley 6 touches, which I think is absolutely unacceptable. Just looking at what Saquon did last year. I do think, it kind of plays into the offensive coordinator not really knowing what he's doing and kind of the push from the media to feed A.J. Brown. I feel like the OC is really listening too much to the noise and diverting from the Eagles' tried and true game plan, which is run the fucking football. I mean, to give Saquon Barkley 6 touches is absolutely unacceptable. The identity of the Eagles last year when they won the fucking Super Bowl was feed Saquon Barkley. And in a close matchup, you're going to give him 6 touches. I mean, this really just highlights this offensive coordinator in Philly doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. He's incompetent. And we've seen this happen with Sirianni in the past. After he lost Shane Steichen as his OC in 22, they went to the Super Bowl. He goes and takes the Colts job. He hired Brian Johnson the next year. And towards the end of the year, their offense completely fell into a fucking pit and was a disaster. And then the next year, they got Kellen Moore. They won the Super Bowl. And then this year, Kellen Moore leaves for the Saints, and they get an incompetent OC. We've seen this happen before with the Eagles, and this is my fatal problem with Nick Sirianni is he is so reliant on his coordinators. And it's not just like an opinion thing. It's an evidence-based take. We've seen time after time. He has good OCs. They kick ass. He has bad OCs. It's rocky, and they imploded in 23. I don't know if they're going to implode this year, but weird game plan, only giving Saquon only 6 touches. I'm still going to go with the Eagles, but it could get weird quick with this offensive coordinator in over his head. I do think the media is kind of pushing the A.J. Brown stuff a little too much because anytime, A.J. talks to the media or publicly speaks, I don't really ever hear him say anything about his frustration. I think A.J. Brown has actually been pretty professional about it. In the past, he's said weird stuff, but not this season. And so I think it's more so of a media push to kind of throw fuel on the fire of the Eagles, just, try to build up tension. But A.J. Brown, you got to get him the ball more. I get that, but not at the expense of Saquon Barkley. So it's something we have to monitor. When they play better teams, it'll be interesting, but it's the New York Giants. I mean, the Giants are legitimately one of the 5 worst teams in football right now. So even despite Philly being a little rocky right now, I don't really have any worry about them winning this game. The Giants are just not a good football team right now. So give me the Eagles. Moving on, we have my Steelers hosting the Cleveland Browns. And we're 6.5-point favorites, which I don't like because the Steelers and the Tomlin era, if you're a Steelers fan, you know what I'm talking about here. They tend to play down the competition. They underperform against these teams in which they should easily win. And that they should, on paper, easily beat the Cleveland Browns. And I get it, the Browns have a really good defense, but they also have a really bad offense with a rookie quarterback in Dylan Gabriel, who I don't think's really all that good. He's a slight upgrade over Flacco, but, Joe Flacco's 63 years old. You or me is probably better than Joe Flacco right now. And I'm going to get into Flacco more when we get to the Bengals because they just traded for him. But I'm not going to pick against my Steelers, of course. I'm going to pick the Steelers. This game is in Pittsburgh. They're 6.5-point favorites, but I'm telling you right now, I'm worried about this because the Steelers in the Tomlin era play down to competition. They lose these fucking stupid games that they should easily win. Like, last year we went to Cleveland in the snow globe game. It was snowing like crazy. And Jameis kicked our ass. We should have easily won that game. We just gave it away because we play down to competition. So it worries me. But, with how good the Steelers looked in Ireland against the Vikings, the offense looked like a real NFL offense. Aaron Rodgers playing that point guard role, distributing the ball, getting it to the playmakers. DK Metcalf had the best play of the Steelers season thus far, an 80-yard touchdown, something that, we haven't seen in a long, long time here. Kenneth Gainwell actually looks like, at least in the Vikings game, looked like a real number one running back with, over 100 yards. I think he had 2 touchdowns. If you had him in fantasy, that was quite a get there. I think he had like 30-something fantasy points. But as of right now, and it's not like the Vikings are a slouch on defense. Like, the Vikings are known for their really good defense with a good defensive coordinator, Brian Flores, who the Steelers should have kept, honestly. But, so, like, they beat up on a really good defense in Ireland. So I'm hoping coming out of the bye that the Steelers were able to address the issues with the defense, because we all know the story with the Steelers defense. It's the highest paid defense in football, but it has not played well thus far. It has not looked very good. So if the offense looks like it did in Ireland against Minnesota, then I have confidence in this team, but we need to see the defense come around because of the amount of money and the amount of star power on that side of the ball. I'm going with the Steelers here. Moving on, Broncos-Jets. So this one is in London. So we have another London game. This is now 3 weeks in a row where we've had a game in Europe. Last week we had... Who was in London last? Vikings stayed over there, and they played the Browns. And then, of course, the week before that, like we just talked about, was my Steelers and the Vikings. Now this week we have Broncos-Jets. I'm not really going to spend a whole lot of time on this. I think the Broncos are going to win this game. They're a far superior team right now, even though I still have my problems with Bo Nix. I think he's becoming supremely overrated. The Broncos are just such a better overall complete team. They're a real team, whereas the Jets feel like a circus right now. And I told you guys last week that I actually think the Jets are better than their record, which at the time was 0-4. It's now 0-5. I still think the Jets, they're better than that. Justin Fields has actually been pretty good this year. Breece Hall's been pretty good. Garrett Wilson's been pretty good. But they're not able to overcome the other big structural problems with this team. The offensive line's a joke. The defense, super overrated. I don't know what the fuck happened to Sauce Gardner. He looks like totally washed. And Aaron Glenn doesn't seem to know what he's doing as a head coach, because, it's okay to take over a bad team and have a bad record, but at least you got to, show signs of progress. Aaron Glenn, the defense has gotten worse with the Jets, and he's supposed to be a defensive guy. And also, you look at Detroit, this year their defense is better after Aaron Glenn has left. So Aaron Glenn, I didn't really get the hire because it's not like Detroit was known for their high-powered defense last year. They were a high-powered offense. Their defense was actually kind of the thing that held them back. So hiring Aaron Glenn really never made sense to me. And you could see him not lasting very long because the Jets start off 0-6, which I think is probably going to happen. I don't see any world where they're beating the Denver Broncos. That's a mess. And I do feel bad for Justin Fields because he has been playing good, but the Jets are the Jets. There's a reason why they have the longest playoff drought in American sports. So give me the Broncos. Moving on, Cardinals, Colts. The Cardinals coming off of the most fucking goofy loss I've ever seen in my life. If you didn't see the game against the Titans, or if you didn't watch the highlights, I strongly advise you, go on YouTube, Watch the Week 5 highlights from the Cardinals versus Titans game. It's literally like a fucking Looney Tunes episode with some of the stuff that happened to the Cardinals in that game. I mean, they were up, what, 20? Either 20 or 23-6, I think, in like the fourth quarter, and they ended up blowing it. I mean, first you had Kyler. Like, there was one play where the ball got snapped, I guess, a little early and just smacked him on the head, and it looked like it gave him a fucking concussion. Like, the football hit him too hard and gave him a concussion, it looked like. So that was nuts. And then you had a crazy touchdown where Cam Ward throws an interception. I think it was to a linebacker. Then the linebacker falls and fumbles the ball that he just intercepted. The ball, rolls into the end zone, and Tyler Lockett falls on it, and the Titans get a touchdown out of it, out of a ball that Cam Ward threw a pick out of. They ended up getting a touchdown. And then, of course, you had the Amari DiMercato fumble, whatever the fuck that was, and then his coach kind of like shoving him around on the sidelines after. So it was literally a fucking circus of a game. And the Cardinals deserve to lose it with the mistakes they made, with the three we just talked about. I don't trust the Cardinals at all after a performance like that. And the Cardinals, I really think they should have made a statement after that kind of a loss. They should have cut Amari DiMercato to just kind of like signal that's never going to be accepted in this organization, because that was a joke. I mean, that was horrific, and it completely swung the momentum of that game. Give me the Colts here. Like I said, I'm totally out on the Cardinals. Like last year, I was kind of optimistic on the Cards. You guys know I'm a big Kyler guy, but I am 100% totally out on the Arizona Cardinals. All my stock is sold, and I don't even care if the stock price is at rock bottom. I don't want anything to do with this Cardinals team coming off that fucking pathetic Looney Tunes loss. Give me the Colts, who are rolling right now. And I know we didn't even really talk about the Colts, but I don't really have to. They're one of the best teams in football right now. Danny Dimes, I think, is actually a real MVP candidate. If I would have heard myself say that before the year, I would have said, wow, how much fucking Jack Daniels did you drink before you said that? But it's true, You just take out the name Daniel Jones, just look at his stats objectively and look at the Colts record. He is 100% a top 5 MVP candidate right now, and I would say probably even top 3. To me right now, the MVP race is Baker, Dak, and Daniel Jones. As crazy as that sounds, that's the NFL in 2025. So give me the Colts in that game. Next up is Rams-Ravens. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this one because we all know Lamar Jackson is not playing in this game. Would have been a great game if Lamar played, but he's not. So there's a reason why the Rams are over a touchdown favorite in this game. Give me the Rams pretty easily here. Cooper Rush was a disaster in that game. I think he threw 3 picks or something like that. He's not good. Obviously, he's a backup. He doesn't really fit Lamar's play style at all. If I were the Ravens, I would want to have like a player that's similar to Lamar that can like run around a little as the backup, so you don't really have to change the offense around a lot. Yeah, and Derrick Henry continues to struggle. I mean, I don't know what the hell's... I made that video about a week or so ago talking about the Ravens season from hell. Derrick Henry might have just, he might have been the latest victim of Father Time. I don't want to pound the gavel on that. Derrick Henry is one of my favorite players, but it's not looking good. Let's just move on, because this game, there's really not a lot to talk about with Lamar not playing. That the Ravens should absolutely crush and obliterate the Ravens. Next, Seahawks and Jags. So, this is one of the rare moments where we have a pick'em, they're even money on this game. I know it's in Jacksonville, but I'm going with Seattle. I really think that Jacksonville is fool's gold at this point in time. They won that game because Patrick Mahomes threw a pick 6. That's something you can't really rely on down the stretch of a season. I think Seattle is actually pretty good. Sam Darnold's playing lights out right now. And I guess I kind of underlooked the weapons around him there in Seattle because he's looking incredible this year. Whereas with Jacksonville, I think it's a little more smoke and mirrors. They've heavily relied on their defense this year, but I trust Seattle in this spot more. I think they're a better team. They have the better quarterback, in my opinion. They have the better coach, in my opinion. I think the Jags are frauds, and I think Seattle's going to expose them in this game. Give me the Seahawks. Moving on, Chargers Dolphins. So we have the battle of the 2020 quarterbacks, Tua and Herbert. So this game's in Miami. The Chargers are 3.5-point favorites. This could honestly be a game the Dolphins win because the Chargers' O-line without the 2 tackles is really, really bad. Like, it has really halted all the momentum of the Chargers. You know, in the first 3 weeks, they looked like one of, if not the best teams in football. Everyone was saying Herbert was the early MVP. But the injury, obviously Slater before the year, now Joe Alt's out. Now, Amari and Hampton is on IR. Najee Harris is out for the year. So they have like you and me at running back now behind a bad O-line. Like, it quickly kind of just fell apart for the Chargers. So you might think I'm crazy. I'm going to actually pick the Dolphins here. I think this is a game, like, Tua's actually played pretty good this year. Tua's having a sneaky good season this year. He's got weapons despite Tyreek being gone. Like, you still have A-Chain, you still have Waddle, and Darren Waller's just back to prime Darren Waller all of a sudden. It's in Miami. The Chargers are reeling off their injuries. I actually like Miami in this spot. Moving on, Cowboys-Panthers. This game is in Carolina. It surprises me that the Cowboys are only 3.5-point favorites. I thought it'd be bigger just looking at the eruption of points they put up on the Jets, which in theory, the Jets have a better defense than Carolina. I'm going with the Cowboys. Like I said earlier, I think Dak is in the MVP conversation right now. You look at the last 2 games, what he's done without CeeDee Lamb against Green Bay, and then last week against the Jets. Like, Dak is playing, you could argue, the best of his career right now. Like, Dak Prescott is playing insane football right now. Whereas the Panthers are just, blech. The Panthers. And I get it, they had a nice comeback win against Miami, but I just think their defense is not going to be able to keep up with how good Dallas's high-powered offense looks right now. And there's a potential CeeDee Lamb return. I'm crossing my fingers as a fantasy owner of CeeDee Lamb. I'm crossing my fingers he's back for this game, but no guarantee. But I'm going with the Cowboys here. I like what they're doing thus far. Next up, Patriots-Saints. Well, I'm not spending really any time on this game. The Patriots should absolutely steamroll the Saints. And I get it, the Saints might be, some people are saying, they're a little under the radar. Spencer Rattler has actually played pretty good this year. He's thrown 6 touchdowns, only 1 pick. He's almost at 1,000 yards. So Rattler actually looks kind of like an NFL-level quarterback, which I never thought I'd say. Maybe Kellen Moore knows what he's doing. The Eagles kind of miss him right now. But overall, talent perspective, not close. The Patriots, they just beat the Bills, which you could argue is actually a thing against the Patriots, is that they're coming off such an emotional win. They're going to be drained and all that. But I just think they're a better team. They have the better roster. They have the better quarterback by far. Give me the Patriots. Next up, we got a slop fest of a matchup. Arguably the worst of the week between the Titans and the Raiders. Both of these teams are 1-4 right now. Geno Smith is just not playing good this year. He's thrown 6 touchdowns and he's thrown 9 picks. He's not playing good. And Cam Ward has definitely struggled as well. So I really think this game is kind of a coin toss. These teams are both really bad right now. But I'm going to go with the Raiders. It's in Vegas. I trust Pete Carroll more than Callahan. And Geno, historically in his career, is good against the bad teams. Like, he always struggles against, the good teams, but he can beat up on the bad teams. That's what separates elite quarterbacks in the NFL. Like, Josh Allen, Mahomes, like, they don't change depending on who they're playing. Like, they're always just really good. Whereas a guy like Geno, crumbles in big games. But against the Titans at home, I'm going with the Raiders. Next up, Bucks Niners. This is actually a really good matchup. Both these teams are the flip opposite record of the teams we just talked about. They're both 4-1. But I like Tampa in this matchup. I don't know if Bucky Irving's coming back or not. I don't know. I know they still have injuries. Like Bucky Irving is questionable. Mike Evans is questionable. But Baker Mayfield, to me, right now is the MVP of the league. And I get it. Mac Jones is a good story this year. He's kept the Niners alive. But Baker Mayfield is playing at a different level this year. 10 touchdowns and 1 pick. And he's led like a million game-winning drives this year. Give me the Bucks right now. They have all the momentum in the world. And I think at this point in time, Baker is my favorite for MVP. Next up, Bengals, Packers. So now we can finally talk about Joe Flacco. The Packers are 14.5-point favorites in this game. So who do you think I'm going to pick? Yeah, give me the fucking Packers. So let's talk about the Flacco thing because it went down, 2 days ago. It does not move me whatsoever. I think any realistic fan doesn't really expect a big change from Jake Browning. I think at this point in time in 2025, Joe Flacco is not anywhere near what he once was, even just, like 2 years ago with the Browns. And I think he's kind of just the same player. Yeah, I think of him on the same level as a Jake Browning, and he's just even less mobile than Jake Browning. So to me, the Joe Flacco trade is like putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. And that's what the Bengals have right now is a gunshot wound with how fucking pathetically bad their offensive line is. And you're going to put the most immobile player in the National Football League, who's 83 years old, behind that O-line. That, to me, is a recipe for disaster. And especially if he's going to play in this game, if this is going to be his first start for them, who's he going up against? Micah Parsons. I think Micah Parsons 1v5 against the Bengals O-line is getting to Flacco 50, if not more, percent of the time. That's how atrocious their O-line is. So putting a guy who literally can't move, like he can't move, putting him behind that O-line is tragic. It really, like Flacco's going to get fucking crushed. He's going to get fucking peppered behind that O-line. So, yeah, give me the Packers here. I mean, they need Burrow. The Bengals need Burrow to have any chance in any game. They're not a good team right now. Without Burrow, they don't have a chance to win any football game, in my opinion. Their defense is horrible. Their O-line's horrible. And now they have the least mobile quarterback in the league. Mess. There's a reason the Packers are 14.5-point favorites in this game. Moving on to the game of the week, we have Sunday Night Football between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. So Goff and Mahomes, they always have really good games. So I like the over in this one for sure. If you think back to, 2018, they had that incredible game where they both put up like 70 points each. And then a couple years ago, the first game of the 2023 season was the Lions in Arrowhead. That was whenever Chris Jones was holding out, and he had like the mobsters sitting with him up in the stands. And the Lions actually beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead to kick off that season. That's a very memorable game to me. So these games are always good when these two play. This is tough. This is really, really tough right now because my mind is telling me to go with the Lions. I think they are the better team right now. They're more complete. They're healthier. Their overall roster is just better than the Chiefs right now. They have more momentum. But if you guys are longtime listeners of the channel, you know my philosophy when it comes to the Chiefs is I don't like picking against them in any particular game, especially in Arrowhead. This is really, really tough. I'm gonna break my rule. I'm gonna pick the Lions, which I don't think I've picked against the Chiefs in a football game since 2 years. My philosophy has been I don't pick against Reed Mahomes, but this is the exception to me. Right now, the Lions are the best team in the NFL. They're my Super Bowl favorite right now. And I think there's actually a good possibility that this could be the Super Bowl matchup. Lions-Chiefs. I really would love that as the Super Bowl, and the Lions end up winning. But, yeah, give me Detroit. Moving on, Bills-Falcons. I'm going with the Bills here. I'm not a big believer in the Falcons. Michael Penix is just so inconsistent. He's hot or cold, up and down. Josh Allen, we know what he brings to the table. I think the Bills, they're just the better team. There's really not a lot to say in this one. Give me the Bills. And then we have the other Monday night game is a rematch from last year between the Bears and the Commanders, where the Commanders essentially ended the Bears season with that Hail Mary pass, because I think the Bears went on to lose like 10 straight games after that Hail Mary happened, where Tyreek Stevenson was like yelling at a fan, and then his guy caught the game-winning Hail Mary, which just killed their season. So you could argue that, the Bears have some extra motivation to win this game. But I just trust the Commanders more right now. I trust Jane Daniels more than Caleb Williams. It's in Washington. Give me the Commanders in this game. But should be a fun one. The Bears are out for revenge from last year. We'll see if Tyreek Stevenson is still chirping at the fans. And then we have two teams on a bye this week, the Texans and the Vikings. So that is it for my NFL Week 6 predictions. If you made it this far in the video, appreciate you listening to me. Go ahead and leave a comment. Are you going to be making any bets this slate of games? Let me know. So go ahead and leave a like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.